Everyone, welcome back to the show. It is a fresh week. It's a fresh week. We had a busy last week and a half, but that's stories for a different time. I'll end on a note of bourbon controversy inside of our household, but we'll save that for the end. That way we can get down to business and talk about exciting shit, which would be buyer broker agreements. What are they? What should you know about them? Some of the pitfalls, which is really what you should know about them, and just sort of the rules of the road. So let's do this. What are they? This is a standard document. It is something that I would assume is in every state. It certainly is in Utah, which is the very simple rule that inside of a real estate transaction, it has to be disclosed who is representing who, AKA who is representing the sellers, the brokerage, and the agent, and then who is representing the buyers, the brokerage, and the agent. Technically, a buyer-broker agreement is an agreement between the buyer and the brokerage. But it's more so, would be perceived as being an agreement between you and your agent. What I describe to our clients is this is the Jake is your agent document. It's kind of the easiest way to explain it. And we'll give some caveats here. Some of the important things that are in it, and this is going to be kind of the big three things that we talk about here. These are the pitfalls. These are the things you need to read through that document to make sure of, because these documents are committal. They do commit you to working with an agent based on these criteria. So you need to look at the commission rate that is disclosed in there, assuming it is an agreement that does disclose that. Ours does here in our state. You need to look at the duration of the agreement, and you need to look at the location that the agreement is for. These are sort of the big three things. It is a simple document here. Again, I'm not going to keep making this disclaimer, but in Utah, it is a relatively simple agreement that is only like a page and a half. Might vary for other states, but that's what we've got here. Here's sort of my advice on this. The commission rate, that'll be the first thing that you really want to look at. I usually list a minimum of 2.5%. So like, hey, I'm willing to work for a minimum of 2.5%. In prior videos, we've talked about the notion of, these discounted commission rates these days and people going down to 2%, which is kind of a slap in the face because you're doing the same amount of work, more actually, because it's a competitive environment, but you're taking a 1/3 pay cut, which is called, that's right, you guessed it, that is called horse shit, everybody. So I disclose 2.5% in that. And I will tell a client, hopefully this is a non-issue, but if there's a house that you really like and it's like 1.5% commission or something like that, then we're probably going to ask you to bridge the gap of that 1.5 and that 2.5. So it's like, even though you as a buyer might not historically pay commissions, we may, in that case, ask you to pay a 1% commission on this because we're making so little money to help you get a place that you're really excited about, right? It's like we want to help and serve you well, but we also have bills like anyone else on planet Earth. So look at the commission rate. You need to look at the duration. So how long is this agreement for? A lot of agents will try to lock their clients into fairly long-term buyer broker agreements. So 6 months up to even a year sometimes. I don't do this. We'll kind of go through, we'll kind of bounce around here and there, but I don't like to do that. Like, look, if we're starting to look for a house now, chances are we'll set it for like 90 days just to hopefully give us enough time to go on the hunt, find something, make offers, get something under contract, and close on it. Because it's not a big deal, but if your buyer broker agreement is about to expire, let's say it expires tomorrow, but a week from now you close on your house, we need to sign a new one to extend that, right? Or you don't actually have to sign a new one, you just sign an addendum just extending that date, but it'd be more convenient not to have to do that. So I would usually do it for like a 90-day period. If it's 6 to 9 months, I would be pretty suspect. I would ask the agent like, hey, I'm not really comfortable doing this for 6 to 9 months. Can we do it for 90 days? The other thing you're going to want to look at, because it does commit you to working with that agent for that duration of time. However, where does this commit you to working with that agent? And that's point number 3, which is location. So here's what I mean by location. Oftentimes, it depends on the vibe we have with the client. If it's someone that knows us, trusts us, it's like, we all know we're cool with each other here, right? Like, you know that like we're repping you well and everything, then like I would typically sign it as a blanket one. So it's good for any location, right? Like any location in Utah where you're agent. You can make it location specific. So if you're writing an offer on a house and you're like, hey, look, I only want the buyer broker agreement to be good for this house. Cool, 115 Main Street. Cool, you can just say, hey, we are representing you on this deal for 115 Main Street for the next 90 days. And that way, if that deal did not go through, technically you're not obligated to work with that agent for future offers and deals that you may make. Now, hopefully you would, because they're still representing you well, but at that point, technically you're out of your buyer broker agreement because you're moving on to a new location that's not listed inside of that buyer broker agreement. Oftentimes, I will just list it as location, any, like it'll say like counties in Utah, and it'll be like any, address, any. Like, let's make life easy. If we have that level of trust, if a client is a little like still no one trusts real estate agents, I don't necessarily blame you for that, but I like to think we're trustworthy, as I'm sure every other asshole in the industry does. But if we've got good trust with each other, I'll write it for any. If they're still a little suspect because all realtors are bad, then we'll just write it for a specific location. Again, knowing that you're gonna have to write a new one if we make an offer on another place. So here's the rules of the road on this. A lot of agents will ask you to sign a buyer broker agreement. I don't know if you guys are catching this show down here. You're probably not. I think the camera angle is too low. But if you are catching this show of Malinois nuts, I apologize / you're welcome. The rules of the road. A lot of agents will ask you to sign these immediately. Like, hey, before I'm taking you to look at houses, I want you to sign a buyer broker agreement. They are doing that as a protection on their own time. They're basically saying like, look, before I start investing time in you, I want to make sure that I am your agent. And they're not wrong for doing that, but here's kind of where I disagree, which is I don't want to sign that. If I'm a client, I don't want to sign that agreement until I know you're worth it. Like, how do I know you're good yet? Like, what if it turns out you're like a lazy sack of shit and I don't want to work with you, or we just don't get along well, right? It's just a clash of personalities. And now I'm stuck in this 6-month blanket contract that says I got to use you for anything. You can ask the agent to get out of it at that point. You can say, hey, I'd like to be released from it, and they can do that. It's just a updated document that they got to do, no big deal. So they can do it, but will they? I don't know. Will they? Maybe, maybe not. They could just go full asshole and be like, no, I'm not going to do that because I've invested time in you and whatever. So I would recommend, if I'm giving you honest advice as a client, potential home shopper, home seller one day, make that agent prove that they're worth it. I don't ask anyone to sign a buyer broker agreement until I have to, for compliance sake. So I operate, and I tell everyone this, like, look, this is a trust thing. Like, I know where I fall on the trust and integrity scale. I don't know where you fall on it. I don't necessarily say that. But it's just like, this is going to be a trust thing, right? We're going to go hustle for you. I'm not going to ask you to sign any of this shit. A lot of our clients don't even know about it until we're actually writing an offer on their place. And it's like, hey, I have to get you to sign this now because we're submitting contracts saying we represent you. We don't actually have any documentation saying that we represent you. So we have to do it at that point. But hey, look, if a client burns their agent at that point, shame on me. I trusted someone, I got burned. I'm going to operate from a place of trust versus distrust, but it is on you as the client. Do not string agents along. If you found an agent in some place or something that operates like me, where they're not going to ask you to sign that until they need to, don't be an asshole. Don't be going and like, I'm talking to a couple different agents and seeing who can, work the best angle. No, be committal, man. Like, don't be that shithead human being who's like stringing along a couple different people, right? It's like the dating scene. Like, don't do that, man. Like, just rock with one person. If something goes wrong, cool, you can pivot. But until then, rock with that one person. That's a little bit of my advice here. You as the client, you need to be a little, not skeptical, but you need to be cautious of signing them too soon. But you also need to live up to your end of the bargain and be loyal to someone who's doing a good job for you. If they're not doing a good job for you, it's completely appropriate to request to get out of your buyer broker agreement. Until that time comes where that agent has gotten to the point of unreliable, rock with that agent, okay? Be loyal to the people that are being loyal and hustling for you. All right, that's it. That's the end of the discussion there. Quick bourbon discussion. So I got a predicament here, everyone. And if I look a little low energy today, it's because I am. I'm just a little fatigued, a little tired today. So here's the deal, guys. This is Garrison's brother. This is their Guadalupe, kind of like a special edition bottle. So I'm saying this to prove a point. So it's about a $135 bottle is what I paid for it. An expensive bottle of booze, you know, not like crazy, not you're taking out a second mortgage, no pun intended, but it is a nice bottle of booze, and it's fantastic. This is Garrison's Honeydew. It's a $90 bottle, and 80 or 90, and it's disgusting. I hate it, which is sad because I love kind of like lightly flavored whiskey. There's a Japanese one that I have that's like lime infused, and it's incredible. This Honeydew, I was so excited about it. I saved it for a special occasion, if you will, and fucking hated it. So it was a real letdown. And there's nothing worse, you know, when you get let down by a $30 bottle of booze, you move on with your life. When it's like 80 or 90 bucks and you get let down, you're like, what a sad day. So Garrison Brothers is 1-1 in my household right now. I acquired this a couple of days ago, which is just the standard small batch Garrison Brothers, their standard go-to. Now, this is another $90 bottle. You're getting the hint that Garrison Brothers sells pretty expensive booze. And this is going to be the tiebreaker. I am thrilled. I'm nervous. I'm anxious to know, does Garrison Brothers wind up on my shit list for selling overpriced, mediocre alcohol? Or do they just have one bad bottle with the Honeydew and it turns out everything else is awesome? This will be the tiebreaker round, everyone. This is going to determine where Garrison Brothers sits in my household. Are you on the shit list? Are you on the hero list? So I don't know, guys. Like, I'm just bringing you this. I haven't tried it yet. I'll have to save this for a night when I'm feeling ambitious, like cracking a nice bottle. But we'll see. I'll tell you more once I know more. But that's where I'm at right now. Texas. This is a Texas distillery. Garrison Brothers, it's 1-1. And it's time for the tiebreaker round. Beyond alcohol and buyer broker agreements, if you guys need help with real estate, let us know. We are here in Utah. It's where I am right now. But we also help, we have clients that are all over the country. And we got different agents we can connect you with, lenders, all that kind of stuff. So if you need help, let us know. Beyond that, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the damn channel if you have not. Drop us a comment. All that stuff that in theory you should know, but you may not. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.